Hell, maybe short for Helen, said, "Hi all, I'd love some balanced financial advice." This one will take about 10 seconds to answer, by the way. Shorter than the long question, but I love this question. I'm a 50-year-old woman and recently inherited my late father's house. Apologies for your loss there, because an inheritance is mostly, well, if they're still alive, it's a gift. If someone deceased, it's an inheritance. It was in a state of squalor when I received it, and over the last 6 months, I've invested $80K and a lot of sweat equity to make it both livable and saleable. I've been living in it during renovations. The house is a 3-bedroom property originally purchased for $230 and would likely sell for around $800K. If I sell it within the 2-year grace period, I can avoid capital gains. Alternatively, I could rent it out for about $680 a week. 2-year grace period. Anyway, not relevant. I was just thinking out loud. Here's the thing. I'm post-divorce, no longer a homeowner, and genuinely value a low-stress, low-maintenance lifestyle. I prefer small spaces and would ideally like to own a modest 1-bedroom apartment outright. The idea of tenants managing rental or taking on another mortgage doesn't appeal to me. I sought financial advice from 2 professionals, but both strongly recommend holding the property for capital growth/rental income. While I respect their advice, they were both younger men with different goals, building portfolios. I'm not sure their vision aligns with mine. I would not respect that advice. Anyway, I would love to hear from others who have been in similar situations or have had advice on how to weigh up lifestyle versus financial return. Thanks in advance. I mean, what are you saying there, John? I mean, sell the thing and move on.
Probably.
Because, and this is it. If there is financial decisions and there are lifestyle decisions. If you lead everything that you do with a financial decision, it might not end to having a good lifestyle decision. So I always say in situations like this, you have to always lead with what you want your life to look like and plug the money into that. It's totally okay to sell a house that you inherited. It's totally okay to buy an apartment outright with cash. It's totally okay to put a balance of that sale into super to build money for future you and move on with your life.
Yeah, there's a big part of me that says, wow, there's an $800K asset here. The growth on that over the next 20 years when it's costing me nothing essentially to hold, rent out.
But then you've got to have a mortgage to buy where you want to live.
You do, but okay. So let's say the mortgage, the apartment costs $500,000.
Yep.
If we've got the cash to put down a 20% deposit,
yep,
and have that manageable mortgage, we've now got 1.3 mil worth of assets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you're still attacking this from a financial lens.
I am.
Yeah. Which is what I categorically disagree with in this situation.
Okay.
Yeah. But
and
you were.
That's what makes showbiz dull.
Stop calling me baby, baby.
So Hal has or wants a low stress lifestyle. I get that. But can we have an $800K asset that rents for must be $650 a week, that gives $30,000 or $25,000 of income into the bank account if the property is low maintenance? Can that be low stress? I think the answer to that is yes. Right. And I know you're smirking at me. Just
no. I'm just thinking. I'm just enjoying life, doing life with you, John.
Because we look at agree financial versus emotional lifestyle, my risk profile, what's going to allow me to sleep at night. Once we've sold the property, we can't go and buy it again. That's done.
Yeah.
Now I get the 2-year CGT bit. That's big. But if the $800K in 15 years' time is worth 1.5, hasn't quite doubled, there's $700K that Hal has for little to no work.
Okay. Question, Johnson. If Hell inherited 800K cash, you're basically telling her at the moment to go and buy an investment property for 750, 800.
No.
No, well, let's reverse engineer it. Every day that she keeps this house is an active decision to buy that property.
Well, she was gifted it.
That's right.
Yeah.
But what if she was just gifted 800 grand in cash? By your logic, you were saying buy an investment property. Well, you'd probably say buy a house with 20% deposit and then leverage up and buy an investment property. That's what your logic is saying.
Well, I'm saying, well, she's been gifted that. Now, if it was 800 grand in shares or 800,000 in a house, like...
Well, either way, you plug that inheritance into your own lifestyle and goals.
Yes. And I'm saying she might get 20, 25K out of it as an income stream, plus the growth on it. The downside of it, or the flip side, is she's got a mortgage on her one bedroom that she wants. So we'll get that.
So if we assume sells the property, gets 800 grand cash in the bank, loosely, call it 700 after costs or whatever.
750,
Call it 750.
Yeah.
Buys a house with 500, an apartment with 500 cash, right? He's still working, doesn't have a mortgage, puts that 250 into super to grow. She's 50, probably won't touch it for at least 10 years. What if she then set up, well, I'm just going to pay an extra $500 a week, $600 a week, nominal mortgage repayment or rent into super as a salary sacrifice. Year on year, she's saving money and investing for the future. I dare say she'll be totally fine. And sure, we carve out a little bit for emergency fund and all that. But I just think in these situations, you actually have to back engineer it. The fact that she's inherited 800K, it's actually irrelevant whether it is a house or share equity. I think you have to look at it where I've inherited 800K. We assume it's cash. How do we plug that inheritance into our life? Oh, I've always wanted an investment property. Oh, sweet. I'll keep this. I'll even put a friggin' granny flat at the back. Happy days, baby. Or if it was 800K CBA shares, I don't heaps want 800 grand of CBA shares because I'd love to own my own apartment with cash. Friggin' sell the bastards and buy a house and put the rest into super or whatever.
Okay, so how about we go a hybrid? We use that 2-year grace period. I'd love to know where this is, actually. This is burning away at me. I'm thinking, where would this be where it's worth 800K and it's obviously a house? It's going to rent for 680, by the way.
It'd have to be regional something, wouldn't it?
Well, it'd be pretty like it was bought for 230. So you'd say larger regional, I'd say. But
I'm just going to search the post in the Facebook group to see if she's put any more information while you...
So what if we did this? What if we – and I appreciate that Hal says I don't in her words, the idea of tenants managing a rental or taking on another mortgage doesn't appeal to me. So I appreciate that. And these young two professionals that have recommended holding them, I'm maybe more empathetic than that, even though I'm also young, Glen. Why don't we wait 18 months and just see what it can do? Because
I would imagine she's already waited that long, given that she's renovated it.
No, 6 months.
6, is it?
Yeah. So she's got 18 months to go is what I'm looking at or thinking. So I'd say give it another 12 months and you might be able to carve an extra 40 or 50 out of it.
Okay, so the only other comment she's replied to is, thank you for your opinions. I can't live in suburbia and the traffic is horrendous. I'm also mindful of occupying a large home with several school catchment areas for the single mums like I was. The location I'm happy to be in, I can buy for $250K.
Ooh.
So she can buy a one-bedder for $250K. which is awesome. I left work to nurse my father and uncle who died within months of each other.
Jeez.
So while the renovation has been therapeutic, I'll return to an annual income of $150K. So imagine you own your one-bedroom apartment, pumping $150,000 for the next 10 years. Anyway.
And the rest and the profits of the property into super.
And just pump super potentially. Selling and buying something low-key outright definitely feels right, but I needed to hear some reassurance that it wasn't a completely insane plan and that I wasn't putting myself in in a bad position. So having that, if you could buy I would probably just say on that, just see if you can buy a little one-bedder or a villa or something that isn't in a massive strata complex or little Torrance title or a 3-lot.
Yeah.
Or actually
refer to previous episode.
Yeah, or we do actually go, let's just get a little bit more strategic. You said you wanted to buy this was supposed to be a short answer before the
Why wouldn't this like
No. Just let me finish for a sec. She's happy to a modest one-bedroom apartment outright. Can we say take $500 and buy a 2 or 3 bedroom townhouse outright that might only have 3 or 4 in the complex? Because I would rather that than an apartment.
Now you're looking at it from a financial perspective.
Yes, because I've got more information. But also, she doesn't want to be a property manager.
No.
But I'm saying, given that well, not really, because I'm just saying you want to buy a house outright. We said before we assumed 500.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
But she doesn't want something any bigger than a one bed.
No, but I'm saying to her, I'm encouraging her, and this is more of a lifestyle. For your lifestyle, it probably will be better if you are in a 3 or 4 bedroom, 3 or 4 unit complex, not in a big apartment building. Unless you can get a little 3-story apartment block or something like that.
Yeah, look, if she's buying a one-bedder for $230 or $250, it's not going to be in a location that's got high-rise apartments.
Yeah, true.
So she's going to be in a small complex. Like full financial hat on, you wouldn't buy a one-bedder, you'd buy 2. Maybe 2 bath as well, 1 car in, as you said, small complex. I'd love for her to keep it for another 12 months just to see what they can do. Like $250,000 to buy a 1-bedroom. She could that's only $50,000 to get a 20% deposit in. Like if she's got that, she's going to have a $200,000 mortgage.
But in terms of her, if we fast forward, 50-year-old woman owns a property outright with cash, whether that is $500 or $250. Okay, we've then seeded our super with maybe $300,000, $150,000 income. Round numbers, there's probably $15,000 going into super via her employer contribution. Literally, just salary sacrifice another $15,000 into super each year. As a minimum. I don't know. It's fascinating that I was just going to be like, sell it, move on, and then you can kind of juggle this and talk about it. So
and that's why she's obviously gone into Facebook land, which is wild, but also had 2 professionals have a conversation with her, and they've both said keep it. And
and this is the problem with potentially younger professionals. You know, the book says one thing, but textbook cases literally belong in the textbook.
But I think for Hal, the key part of it is live by the sword, die by the sword. You sell it, you know you can't come back from that, and don't look at the potential that it could be worth another $500,000 in 10 years' time.
Well, there you have it. Heard it here first, everyone.